What's up guys, Victor here, back with another Tackle Tuesday, and in this week's video I'm going to share with you guys a method, a secret that I use offshore that helps me catch big pelagic fish. Now I'm talking about catching sails, dolphin, wahoo, kings, and even cobia, and this is a really good method that you guys need to try. Now the method I'm referring to is slow trolling big live baits offshore, and when I'm talking about these big live baits, I'm talking about bullet bonita, big blue runners, Cero mackerel, Spanish mackerel, things that you normally wouldn't think of trolling. Now there's a reason I really like slow trolling these big live baits, and it's because they simply just entice a bite. I don't know if it's because these baits tend to stay deeper, which they do, and oftentimes during the middle of the day these big pelagic fish, they will go down deeper. And another thing is that these fish, these big baits, they just produce ungodly vibrations. They produce crazy vibrations that big pelagic fish just cannot resist. Another thing, when you're slow trolling big live baits, it allows you to cover a lot of water, so you can really find where these fish are. Sometimes they're on that first reef, sometimes they're in 150 feet of water, so by slow trolling you're able to find where the fish are. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to make the rig to slow troll these live baits, and then stay tuned because at the end of the video I'm going to show you exactly how you should rig them as far as hook placement with these baits. I'm going to start with by telling you exactly what you guys need. So number one, the wire you're going to be using is single strand American fishing wire, and this is the number 6 size. You're going to need treble hooks. These are size 4 or number 4 treble hooks. The live bait hook of your choice. I like a Mustad live bait hook such as this one right here. This is a 7/0. Anywhere from a 4/0 to 7/0 depending on the size of your bait. And last but not least, these are tiny baby Spro swivels. You want at least 50 to 65 pound swivels, but these are a little bit pricey, but they're well worth it, and I'm gonna explain to you a little bit later why. The first thing you're gonna need is 12 to 15 inches of that number 6 American fishing wire. I'm gonna take that 7/0 live bait Mustad hook and take the wire and put it through the eye of the hook as well as the eye of my swivel. So I want the wire through both the eye of my hook and the eye of my swivel, and I'm gonna do a simple haywire twist. And if you guys don't know how to do a haywire twist, I actually have a video on how to do a haywire twist, and that will be in the description box below. But all I'm really doing is making a interlocking twist of my wire, twisting my right hand and my left hand in opposite directions. This is what the first portion of your rig should look like. You're gonna have that hook right here, your J hook, and then you're gonna have the swivel both in the eye of the wire. Now take that same number 6 American fishing wire and cut about 8-inch piece off. And now I'm gonna take one end of the American fishing wire, put it through the eye of my swivel, and I'm gonna do another haywire twist in the eye of the swivel. Okay, I have my main section of wire right here going to the eye of my hook as well as the eye of the swivel, and then I have that new piece of wire that I told you about, that 8-inch stretch, and that's in the eye of my swivel with the haywire twist connected. And now this end of the wire right here is gonna go to my number 4 treble hook. This is a Mustad treble hook. I'm gonna go in the eye of the hook, but I'm gonna do something that you probably may have never seen before. I'm gonna go along the length of the hook, and I'm gonna go around this backside where these 3 prongs meet, and I'm gonna bend it like that, okay? So now my wire that was going from my swivel to my treb, I bent it around where this prong meets, and I'm twisting it back towards the swivel and the other hook, okay? And then I'm gonna push it forward slightly, and I'm gonna take that section that I bent and I'm gonna go through the eye of the treb. So now, just so you guys can see what it looks like, this is exactly what it should look like. So you have your wire that went into the eye of the hook, around the section where the 3 prongs met, and then back out the eye of the hook. Now nothing's changed. Now I have the tag end of my wire and then the main section of my wire, and I'm gonna do another haywire twist using my 2 hands and twisting in the opposite direction of each other. So far this is what my rig looks like. I have my J hook, my swivel, that piece of wire, and then back to my other treble hook. Now I'm gonna start by taking the second 8-inch piece of wire and going through the eye of my treble hook and bending it at the point of the eye of my treble hook. And now my tag end of my wire and the main section of my wire are both going to be facing the same way towards the point where the 3 prongs meet, and I'm going to do the same thing I did previously and do another haywire twist. Okay, now we're going to move on to the last section of the rig. Now I have one more number 4 size treble hook with my around 8-inch piece of wire. And this is where you guys are gonna have to customize the rig to your liking and the size of the bait you're fishing. So for us, we fish a lot of bullet-sized bonita, and the way that bait is sized, I'm gonna have to put my treble hook, my second treble hook, about 3 inches behind where my first treble hook ended to the eye of my second treble hook. And what I did is I put the tag end of my wire through the eye, and I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing, and I'm gonna go around where the 3 prongs meet, bend it there, and then I'm gonna pull my wire back. That way I can get the tag end of my wire into the eye of my hook. I'm gonna pull it tight, just like this. So now you can see it's just like that. So my wire went in my eye, around where the 3 prongs meet, and went back out my eye. And now I'm gonna do another haywire twist. To finish the rig, the open end of my wire right here, it can either be attached to a swivel. You wanna go with around a 90 to 100 pound swivel. The smaller the better though. Or you can do an all bright knot from your wire to your mono leader. As promised, I'm gonna show you exactly how to rig these baits with the rigs that you guys just learned how to make. So I'm gonna take my very first trailer hook, which is my J hook right here, and I'm gonna go through this little nose socket of my bullet bonita, just like that. And now if you have a mackerel or a blue runner, they also have a nose socket, so you do the exact same thing. And now this little swivel right here, this is where it comes into play. Now imagine when you first catch this bullet bonita and you're putting him out alive, he's frisky and he's moving around like crazy, and you want a nice loose connection right here. You don't want something rigid. So this allows me to have a nice, easy time in order to rig my bait. And I'm gonna show you exactly what it would be like when you don't have this swivel. But first, let's do this. So first things first, make sure that the J hook is facing away from the bait, that it's not like this, that it's facing like this, so that way the rest of my wire rig going to my trebs is nice and taut, okay? Now there's a reason that I told you guys to do that fancy rigging of the haywire around the hook, where you go in the eye, around the prongs, and then back out the eye. Because what it's gonna do is, if you look here, my trebs aren't just dangling and they're not loose. They're nice and streamlined, and this is really important, especially when you're slow trolling baits, because it keeps the presentation of the bait a lot nicer. So I'm gonna, like I said, keep the J hook tight, and now I'm gonna go with one prong of my treb into the skin of my bonita, just like this. So the first one went in just like that, and now the second one, exact same thing. I'm just gonna take only one prong and just go just like that, lightly into the skin. So now it looks just like this. So this is your finished product, and this is what it should look like. If you guys rig it like this, your bonita is gonna swim, your mackerel, your blue runner is gonna swim nice, streamlined, and that's what you want. You want them to be able to swim freely. You don't want to make it awkward for them to swim. So this is gonna allow for a really nice presentation of your bait as well. And I cannot stress enough how important this little swivel is, and how important it is to make sure your trebs are sitting nice and in line with each other. This rig right here, I did not include that little swivel that I told you about earlier, and you can see already that it's very rigid. It does not want to do what I want it to do. It does not allow me to do what I want it to do. So if I took my bait, my hook right here, and I hooked it in the nose of my bait, just like this, and my bonita is really wily and moving around, this is a really stiff connection, and this tends to get fouled up because it doesn't have that little swivel to really rotate freely. It just keeps getting caught in itself, so you really want that swivel. It just allows for a lot easier of a time to rig up, and it makes your bonita swim a lot nicer. And also I want to stress that when I told you to cut your wire sections in the desired lengths that I told you, keep in mind that the initial part, the 12 to 15 inches, that's pretty standard. But depending on the size of your bait, these are a little bit bigger bullet bonitas. So I made the measurements of that first 8-inch wire and then the 3-inch. I made them according to the size of my bait. So you gotta get creative when it comes to making the cuts between your hooks. You gotta make sure that it's nice and in line. You want one always at the head or that nose. You want one around mid-body, and then you want one towards the tail end. So if you're fishing a bigger bait like a mackerel, you're definitely going to want to extend the length between the two trebs and the length between the treb and the J hook, because the bait is a longer bait in itself. always remember that when you're rigging stuff up like this, it's all about a nice presentation, and it's all about letting that bait do its job and letting it swim freely. You want to make sure that there's no kinks, and that way your hook doesn't double back. Another thing that I really want to stress is this live bait hook that I used, it is not offset. An offset hook, I tend to notice that you can double the hook back into your bait. So try to fish non-offset hooks for that first hook. That's the end of the video, guys. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I hope this video helps you guys out. It's a really different way to fish. Not a lot of people know about it, but I will include a couple of videos in the description box below of us actually using this method, and we've caught plenty of stuff doing this method. We've even caught sailfish on mackerel. These big baits, they really entice a bite. So, you know, if one day you're out there and the bite's slow, try it. Go and catch a couple of bullet bonitas, go and catch a couple of mackerel, and just slow troll them around. You never know what you're gonna catch. You might even catch a marlin. But if you guys like this video, make sure to comment below. Let me know if you guys like these type of videos, and I'll see you in the next one.